You feel it before you see it. That tiny, cool prickle at the base of your neck, like a thought someone else just finished. You turn. There he is, calm, still, eyes fixed on you with a patience that doesn't demand but compels. In the hush of the living room, between the coffee cup and the half-open door, his stare reads like a sentence you haven't learned yet. It isn't accusation or pure affection. It's a question without sound, an old language of expectation, curiosity, and, sometimes, warning. Picture the light slanting through the blinds, the faint tick of the clock, the dog planted on his haunches like an island of quiet. His tail is not wagging like a metronome. His mouth is relaxed or barely parted. His ears tilt by degrees. Each microshift is a tile in a small mosaic. Some tiles spell, "Walk soon." Others whisper, "Are you upset?" A few, darker tiles outline unease, a tautness that could turn that earnest look into something heavier. Dogs stare for reasons that are practical, social, emotional, trained, and, on certain afternoons, alarmingly protective. I want you to think of this video as a puzzle laid out on a table. We'll lift 5 pieces, one by one. Maybe you'll nod when you see the first and realize your dog has been reading your schedule all along. Maybe the second will make you smile. A deliberate guess what look that got rewarded enough times to become ritual. The third will ask you to measure your own mood. The fourth will show how we can accidentally teach that gaze to mean, "Get me what I want." And the fifth, the one that ought not be ignored, a stare born of perceived threat, a subtle sentence that can harden if misunderstood. Before we unpack each tile, a gentle question. Which look from your dog leaves you wondering most? The patient waiting, the pleading, the assessing, the practiced, or the tense watch? Tell me in the comments. Your question will guide the next piece we lift. If you want to learn to answer those eyes with calm and clarity, stay with me. In the next scene, we'll turn the first tile and see how routine reading can feel like mind reading. You learn to recognize the first kind of stare like you learn the rhythm of your own house, the soft, anticipatory gaze that arrives with the scent of coffee and the rustle of a towel. He watches the hallway where you keep the leash, not hungry so much as precise. His eyes are steady but relaxed, ears half-turned, tail sweeping in slow, economical arcs. It is prediction made flesh. Your dog has mapped your day into regular peaks and troughs. And in those thin moments before a walk or a meal, he simply consults the ledger of habits. There's something almost tender about it, a creature timing its happiness to your clock, and when you answer with a smile, the stare melts into a practiced joy. A trot, a soft nose on your knee, the tiny click of claws on tile like punctuation. Then there's the guessing game stare, the one that pulls at the edge of your patience and at the same time makes you want to play along. He sits across from you on the couch, eyes bright, head cocked as if posing a riddle. What will you do next? This is not raw demand. It's an invitation to engage. He blinks, lifts a paw, shifts weight from left to right. Small, deliberate moves that tease a response. You can feel the exchange in the room. Your laughter when he gets his way, your reluctant rise when the question is asked enough. In homes where guessing has rewarded results, that look becomes purposeful, savvy. It's a rehearsal of influence. Beneath both of those is the quieter, deeper scan, the emotional check. I've seen it at dusk, when a person comes home heavy with news. The dog's stare is soft, slow, almost forensic. The mouth closes, the eyes narrow, the head tilts just enough to gather mood like a scent. He measures your breath, the slump of your shoulders, the pace of your steps, weighing safety and comfort not with words but with muscles and micromovements. In that moment, the stare is less about asking and more about answering. Am I needed? Am I safe? How should I be? Tell me. When your dog looks at you like that, what do you feel in your chest? If this resonates, tap the like and stay with me because next we'll piece together how training can harden a look into habit and the one stare that should make you stop. He doesn't need words to begin the conversation. The room itself becomes the first sentence. Sunlight slants through the blinds, dust motes hanging like tiny witnesses, and there he sits, eyes steady on yours, but it's the rest of him that tells the story. A slow tail sweep against the rug, a tiny crouch of the shoulders, ears tipped forward, curiosity stitched into posture, or a rigid back, tail tucked, mouth closed tight like a zipper. A different sentence entirely. You are not just reading eyes. You are piecing together a language of subtler signs. Sometimes that steady gaze is an emotional check. He scans your face the way you might check a weather app. Are storms coming? Is the house safe? In the morning when you frown at the bills, his eyes soften and he leans in, seeking the answer in your expression. He inches his weight forward, nose hovering near your hand as if to measure your pulse. That tiny lip lick, not desperation but appeasement, is his question. Are we okay? If you respond with calm, his body relaxes and the stare loses its edge. If you scold without looking at body cues, you teach him to read your voice instead of your mood, and the loop becomes noisier. Other times the stare is learned economy. Imagine a gamified history. One lingering look before dinner, your soft sigh, a treat appearing. He learns the formula. Stare plus small human movement equals reward. Over weeks the stare becomes reliable because it worked. The eyes then are a tool. Watch the microtiming. A glance, then a half-second pause, then the tilt of the head. He is waiting for you to fill the silence with action. Conversations like this are negotiable. Listen to the space between look and reaction. A shift in your posture, a breath out, a hand that moves with intention. Each is an answer that rewrites the next look. What did you teach him without meaning to? Tell me. When your dog stares, what do you think he's asking? Leave your experience below, and if you want to keep unraveling this puzzle, stick around. Next we'll confront the one kind of stare you can't ignore. You learn to listen with your eyes. The living room light thins to honey and he sits like a question at the edge of your chair. Not barking, not whining, simply holding you in a small pool of intent. The first piece of the puzzle is routine. He reads your cadence the way you read a clock. The keys that jingle at 5, the shoes that shift by the door, the rustle of a bag. When the rhythm aligns, his stare is soft and expectant, tail a metronome at rest. He is predicting the walk, the meal, the departure. Watch for the relaxed mouth, the slow blink. Those are the calm markers. Then there is the gentle game of guessing. You know it. You ask out loud, half to yourself, "Are you hungry? Want to go out?" He answers without sound. A subtle lift of the paw, a tiny head tilt, a suggestion of weight forward. This indirect request is an invitation to you to decode and respond. Many dogs will refine the stare if it works. A past reward, food handed over, a leash clipped on, has been an invisible teacher. A stare that once one treats becomes a reliable tool. Note the incremental changes. The eyes widen fractionally, the ears pivot forward, the body leans. But there is more than habit and request. Sometimes his gaze is an emotional ledger. He watches your face as if tallying weather. Are you stormy? Calm? Safe? He searches for your breathing pattern, the set of your jaw, the curve of a smile. If you slump, his eyes soften and he inches closer. If you tense, his stance tightens. The tail may tuck a corner, the mouth close in a thin line. Those micro-movements, weight shifts, tiny muzzle lifts, half-turns of the ear, translate mood into meaning. In that exchange you see the fragile eloquence of a species wired to mirror and measure. A single line of dialogue cuts the quiet. "You okay?" You whisper. He holds your gaze and the room shrinks to that question. If the scene hits home, tap like and tell me in the comments how your dog looks at you. Stick around. Next we'll unfold the learned stare that was shaped by reward and the one that can mean something far darker. You step closer, the kitchen light casting a long shadow, and he holds you with those eyes, but now you look beyond the eyes. The tail is a pendulum that never quite relaxes. The lips are closed but tight at one corner. The ears tip like radar dishes catching a distant sound. He leans his weight back on his haunches, the shoulders braced as if prepared to move toward or away. These are the tiny puzzle pieces that turn a benign stare into something more urgent. Imagine the scene as a slow-motion film. A visitor at the door, the doorbell's single chime, and the gaze shifts from curiosity to calculation. In one frame you have routine reading, he already knows the sequence. Ring, you rise, leash, excitement. In the next frame, a practice stare, a behavior that reliably earned treats or attention and so was saved like a file in his memory. But in the darker frames, the look hardens. Pupils wide, lips pulled back slightly, a low tightening at the throat. That's not asking. That's registering threat, cataloging risk, deciding whether to control the situation. You remember the afternoon your neighbor came back late, the way your dog stepped between you and the door, the slow, deliberate stare that made your skin prickle. You reached out, and without meaning to, you soothed him with the same hand that had previously rewarded his silence with morsels. You learned then how easy it is to reinforce the wrong thing. Comfort in the moment can become validation for fear. So the task is detective work and moral responsibility. Learn to read tail, mouth, ears, weight shifts, and micro-movements as a whole sentence, not solitary words. When the stare carries tension, respond with calm, structure, and predictable choices, not with hurried reassurance that might teach him to lean into anxiety. If a stare unsettles you, ask yourself, am I solving a need or unintentionally rewarding a worry? If you've seen this in your own dog, tell me what happened in the comments. What stare made you uneasy? If this line of detective work helps, a small like helps me know to keep making these guides, and consider subscribing so you don't miss the practical steps I'll lay out next. In the final part, we'll combine those pieces into a clear action plan to transform a dangerous stare into a confident, calm connection. You stand in the amber hush of late afternoon, the house breathing soft around you, and his eyes hold you like a sentence not yet finished. All the pieces we traced, the calendar in his body that knows your routines, the guessing game when he wants you to offer, the quiet thermometer of your mood, the trained stare that used to work, and the shadow of discomfort that can turn love into control. Assemble now into a single, clearer picture. It is not magic. It is grammar. Tail, ears, mouth, weight, those tiny repeated shivers of muscle are the punctuation. Read them wrong, and you answer a question he never asked. Read them right, and you reply to the being who has spent his life learning the language of you. Imagine the moment like a doorway. Some dogs wait on the threshold because they've learned that a steady look opens it. A walk, a treat, the comfort of release. Others hold that look because they are uncertain of the weather inside your chest. Are you calm or brittle? And sometimes the stare is a thin warning, an attempt to redraw a line because something feels unsafe. Your job is not to silence the look, but to solve the riddle it offers. Notice the tail tucked or wagging, the mouth loose or pinched, the shift forward or the weight that withdraws. They are not tricks. They are signals, small and honest. So when you meet those eyes tonight, breathe and ask mentally, am I reinforcing fear or offering clarity? A hurried surrender to the stare can teach anxiety. A gentle, consistent response can teach trust. If you teach your dog the vocabulary, a calm nod for safety, a small ritual for requests, a clear boundary for discomfort, you turn a mystery into a conversation. If this video helped you see that stare as a puzzle rather than a threat, a quiet like would mean a lot. Tell me in the comments, what's the most puzzling look your dog gives you? Share one moment and we'll decode it together. If you want more ways to translate those tiny movements into real calm, stay with the channel. There's a deeper map ahead, and we'll draw it together.